Hello, my loves, and welcome to Shots of Serenity, where you can find dope conversations and a peace of mind. This podcast is not meant to be a replacement for counseling or psychotherapy. I encourage each and every one of you to seek out a licensed helping professional as you see fit. This podcast was established as a safe space to continue the conversation of mental health and all of its manifestations. Now, let's get into it. Hello, my loves, and welcome back to another episode of Shots of Serenity podcast. I am your host, Jasmine St. John, and this is a beautiful space to land where we explore ways to welcome peace and love into our lives through mindfulness, soul care, and self-exploration. How are you doing? How are you doing, love? How has October been treating you? Like, the time is a-moving. The time is a-moving, but how are you enjoying this time? If this is your first time listening, we love to go beyond the I'm good, I'm okay, I'm chilling. So we really invite you to take some time to check in with yourself and really ask yourself, like, what's up? What's going on? What's coming up for me? If you are a returning listener, thank you so much, love, for returning. We deeply, deeply appreciate you. Thank you so much to those who came out to the soft landing and who supported. We appreciate you very, very, very much. If you did not get a chance to connect with us, we hope to see you in November. What are the November dates? Hold on. So November 22nd to the 23rd. November 22nd and the 23rd, and then we'll have another one in December, and we would have made it throughout the last few months of 2025. So I am very proud of myself for following through. So stay tuned with us as we'll be updating 2026. I'll probably do it in like quarters. So I'll probably update the schedule for first quarter, and then we'll go second quarter, third quarter, things of that sort. Okay, so if you have not already, and maybe two episodes ago, I mentioned that we have something new coming, something excited, and so we are bringing the pod to YouTube. We are creating a visual element, which has been an on and off thought, and I've had several reasons why to not do it, and I still do. But we are here. We are, being intentional, and we're trying, we're expanding, and I want to do my part in the works and allow God to blow my mind and just try it out, see what works, see what doesn't, and be okay with learning and being a student. So go subscribe to our YouTube channel, pretty please. And within like the next few weeks, we'll have a specific time as to when to expect that first video. So yeah, y'all, you can now listen to us and watch and listen to us. So please do both. They matter. They help. They're important. So yeah, I think those are all the updates that I have. If you can tell by the title of this week's episode, we are talking about savior versus supportive. I want to set the tone off by talking about some of those like cliche sayings, right? Fish for a man, you allow him to eat for the day. You teach him how to fish, he can eat for a lifetime. Probably butchering that, but you get the point. Another one of those sayings is, you can bring the horse to the water, but you can't make it drink. This has been a theme in my life. How am I showing up? Okay, I think I'm a natural problem solver. desired to be a savior in a lot of my roles, whether that is with myself, with like my clients, with my relationships. Problem solving just comes naturally to me. I'm the oldest sibling. Okay, I am a Virgo rising. Like, how can we problem solve? How can we work towards a better goal? I love emotion, so we're going to talk about it. We're going to feel through it. But like, what are we doing about it? I also realize that it's also a form of codependency. Right? I feel like I've been talking about that a lot. Codependency, right? There is the individual who is dependent on someone, but then there's also the individual who does the quote unquote enabling. So these are, things that I relate to. I get. Sometimes I be having the audacity to think that certain things are my job and my role, and forgetting that God has it. God can do it. Let God do their job. So I wanted to talk about some characteristics of a savior and some characteristics of someone who's being supportive, right? So some characteristics of a savior is someone who likes to put out fires, right? And again, all of these things, like everything, are on a spectrum. So I'm not saying one is inherently better or worse than the other. When we are often working out of a savior complex versus a supportive complex, that has some pros and cons, some risk and benefits, and vice versa. There are some times where maybe the goal is to figure it out, to save, to solve. But some characteristics are often putting out fires, fixing without an opportunity to learn or for the other person to try, right? Like, am I fishing for you all the time? And so now I'm responsible for making sure you have fish for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Or am I showing you how to fish? Am I showing you how to, set up the line? Am I showing you how to get bait, how to put the bait on the line? There is a sense of obligation. Like, this is something that you have to do. Again, like having the audacity to forget, like, God is God. And so it's not your job to fix that person's problem, but sometimes it can feel like it's an obligation, and it can feel stressful when maybe things aren't going well or things aren't working, or the person that you are micromanaging isn't learning how to do the thing, isn't figuring it out. So it almost becomes a form of dependency. Now, in order for that person to eat, you have to be the one fishing for them, along with fishing for yourself, being able to have the resources, the tools to do so. Another characteristic of a savior is feeling like you know better than the other person, or you know more. And even if you find yourself being educated or having more experience on something, that doesn't take away from the fact that other people have beautiful things to bring to the table. And so again, it creates this like mindset of like, I know better than you do. I'm right, you're wrong. I'm more aware, I'm more healed, I'm more conscious. You are puny. Like, and even if these things aren't, conscious or, on a very extensive part of the spectrum, they have some like subtlety to them. And so, of course, a lot of the opposite are going to be some characteristics of someone who's supportive, someone that's able to teach, right? Again, as I mentioned, using the analogy of fishing, teaching me how to fish, teaching me how to have my own bait, teaching me, what bait is more effective or efficient. I don't know. If you couldn't tell, I don't know how to fish. But showing the person how to get the resources, and not only getting the resources for them, but letting them know how to seek them for themselves. Being able to do things out the kindness of your heart, not out of a sense of obligation. Having some empathy, right? When you empathize with someone, you have a level of understanding, you have a level of resonance. But when you take on the responsibility, you forget that this person has an opportunity to grow here, to learn, to be in their own personal experience so that they can not only just learn the teachings, but embody them. We all know when someone's telling us what to do or telling us to stay away from something, we're a little less likely to actually do it as opposed to when we experience it ourselves and we have our own embodied experience that we can take wisdom from. Some other characteristics are truly wishing the best for them, right? There isn't that much like frustration or resentment towards that person because you know that at the end of the day, what needs to happen for this individual will happen because there is something higher than you that has the final say. There is something higher than you that has already orchestrated this person's life for their best interests. Another characteristic is that it's equal. No one is superior. I even tell my clients that all the time. Like, I don't know you more than you know you. I am not the expert of your life. You are. My job here is to maybe give some education, to reflect back onto you what you've reflected onto me, to explore some tools and resources that resonate with you. But my job is not to tell you about yourself. My job is not to tell you who you are. We're equal here. I'm not superior and you're not inferior to me, and vice versa. Some more characteristics of someone that's being supportive: you are empowering, right? You are promoting independence. You're not promoting unhealthy attachments or, again, level of dependence. And so if you have not been able to catch on yet about what a savior is versus someone who is supportive, by definition, a savior is someone who saves, right? Who rescues or who delivers someone from danger, sin, or suffering. Even in that definition, it gives God, goddess, higher power. Because who are you or me to stop someone else's suffering if that is what they need for their higher selves, like we all did, right? There's this saying that people come to themselves, come to healing either by forced circumstances that, unfortunately something, heavy or catastrophic had to happen to land them there, or by inspiration, by, I don't want to say enlightenment, but by inspiration or by being in alignment. And so I have to remind myself often, who am I to stop someone else's process because I feel like I know best, knowing damn well I don't know nothing at all. So the definition of a supportive person is someone who's providing encouragement or emotional help, right? So I know we're taught to not use a word to define a word, but a supportive person is that someone who helps, not that does and takes the lead, but is in an equal partnership, who supports. And so how can we stop if we're on either end of the spectrum? Most importantly, if we find ourselves really having a savior complex. One is awareness, right? So this conversation, when I identified a few characteristics, do you notice that maybe you resonate with more characteristics of being a savior or someone that is supportive? And without any judgment, because as mentioned, a lot of these things are learned behavior, right? A lot of these things are, again, if you want to talk about birth order, the oldest child naturally is almost like the damn third parent. And that's not necessarily like a good or a bad thing. It depends on how far one takes it, right? Depending on, your astrology. Virgo energy is very like perfectionist. They're problem solvers. They want to figure it out. They want to get it done. There's not much room for all, the dillying and dallying. They're hustling. They're very much at it. Again, if you find yourself lacking some boundaries or having some codependent characteristics, you may not be coming from a savior complex as if it's coming from like a narcissistic space. But again, sometimes it's like learned behavior. Sometimes it is a manifestation of the different roles that you've played or the different roles and responsibilities that you have in your life. And so none of these things are a form of judgment, but having a space of awareness. And that next step is choice. Is this conducive to you and the other person or the other people? Is this again enabling? Does it lead to your own burnout? Does it lead to feelings of resentment because you find yourself feeling like you have to be the one to show up and put out fires all the time? That gets exhausting. Are you the one that is doing the helping and never receiving? Are you often giving, 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 and you're never allowing yourself to receive or be poured into? So if that is the case, what choices are we making? Another thing that I invite you to do is maybe have a conversation with the person or the people, right? Communication is key. If you find yourself really fostering a lot of codependent relationships, it may not be the easiest thing to stop cold turkey. You may have to have some conversations. You may have to set some boundaries. You may have to have very open conversations about, hey, this is no longer conducive for me and it's no longer healthy for you. The last thing is restructuring the relationship dynamics. Just because you are identifying things that are no longer working in the relationship doesn't mean that you have to cut the relationship off. How can we restructure and regroup in a way that is conducive, that is beneficial, that is receptive to everyone involved? Okay. So questions for you. In what ways, do you show up? In what ways do you approach situations? Is it with a savior complex? Is it with empowering support? And if I were to change the language of this question in like a journal prompt, I would say, in what ways do I show up? Do I approach situations with a savior complex? Do I provide empowering support? Again, that first step, allowing yourself to have some awareness, seeing where you are, checking in. None of these conversations are ever for judgment. And I think I say this every episode because, again, our intentions is self-exploration through mindfulness and soul care, right? Like, how can we be more aware of ourselves? How can we see how certain things and certain themes, certain behaviors, certain characteristics are showing up in our lives? Is it conducive for this season or is it not? And so lastly, some things that I've been learning, because again, obviously we're having this conversation because I get it. To a certain extent, I get it. I may not understand your specific situation, but like I've mentioned, I think I'm a natural problem solver. I am, the oldest daughter. There almost feels like there's often responsibility or a level of obligation. I resonate with feeling like I had to grow up too fast and, do the cleaning and cooking and certain things and showing up for people when I was still learning myself. And that comes with its benefits and that comes with its manifestations. And one of them was getting out of that savior complex. So some things that I've learned is that I've noticed that my empathy was wavering a little bit. I resonated with the burnout. It became exhausting to constantly especially do and feel like I'm not getting anything back. And that shit was getting played out. Okay, it's been years of it, and I think I've gotten to a point where I'm like, yeah, no more. I'm so sorry. I got podcasts to record. I have naps to take. I got notes to do. I have spaces that are reciprocal that deserve my attention. Yeah, I'm no longer doing things out of obligation or because you think I owe it to you. Sorry. Not sorry. I've also learned that, again, and this is a part of like the wavering empathy, is there was a lot of frustration. Like, why aren't you getting it? why do you keep doing this to me? I then became the victim, and we don't like that over here. I'll be very honest with you, that I don't like that. Once I find myself feeling like the victim all the time, I gotta go. Even if I am the victim, like, I will honor the fact that, like, I may be the victim in that situation, but at some point when you become aware and you maintain the behaviors you keep enabling, you're not just the victim now. You are an active participant, and I refuse to be an active participant in my own suffering. I'm sorry. I've done it too long, you know? Um Again, another lesson, which I think they all kind of go hand in hand, is like an enabling cycle relationship. And a lot of times this can be not just like romantic or platonic relationships, but this can be family relationships. And yeah, I got to a point where I'm like, I love you very, very much, but I can't. I don't want to. I'm choosing not to. The last thing that I made note here that I have learned is that it is not my job. Even when it was given to me, it is not my job. Even when the responsibility was given to me at, an age where maybe I didn't have choice, it's not mine to take on at all. Like, it's just not. And I am releasing the responsibility that I may have taken on. And again, this isn't a bad thing, right? This is a part of our wellness, right? We talk about often how there are a lot of things happening in this world, and I really believe in checking in on your mental real estate. We don't have much capacity for everything, right? We don't have to thug out things forever, right? We don't have to be in suffering and survival forever. And a part of taking agency of my life, a part of managing my mental real estate, a part of honoring myself and taking care of myself is auditing my life. What am I giving and constantly pouring into that isn't pouring back into me, and that is depleting? And those are difficult conversations. And this is why I enjoy our conversations, because this is not a space of judgment like, oh, well, duh, why would you be a savior to someone? Like, that just doesn't make any sense. Like, what did you think would happen? That's not what we're doing here. Sometimes we need language. Sometimes we need conversations at different seasons of our lives. And so my intentions is that this is an awareness conversation, a check-in. Maybe you find yourself saying, I used to have that savior complex, but I've really started embodying a lot more supportive characteristics, and that feels good for me. And maybe this episode is an opportunity for you to give yourself a pat on the back, to extend gratitude for, yourself, for showing up for yourself. Maybe you are listening to this and you are in a relationship that you notice you love, you appreciate, but maybe there are codependent tendencies, and you got to talk to your person about that. Honestly, me and Jessica, we had to have the conversations, and we're still trying to figure out how it's unfolding. So yeah, y'all, I love you very, very much. I hope that you enjoy the rest of your day. I hope that October continues to be loving and kind to you. And I will see you next week. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Please give us 5 likes, 5 stars. Leave a review, subscribe, share with your loved ones and your community as we work on expanding and really creating our own community and creating our own audience. So I hope you all have a beautiful week. Namaste. Thank you, my loves, for taking the time out to listen and join the conversation. I really hope you all enjoyed it. Please don't forget to subscribe and share this podcast. If you've done so already and you like the vibes, be sure to write a review wherever you're listening to Shots of Serenity. It truly helps. Also, feel free to email or DM us with any recommendations, questions, comments, or concerns. Our email is shotsofserenity@gmail.com. Our Instagram is shotsofserenity_. And those are all spelled the exact same way it is spelled on our podcast. I'll see you guys next episode. Thanks again for listening. Peace and blessings to you all and your families. And I hope you all have an amazing week. Bye-bye.